Hey everybody, Sharyn Sheldon here from Content Sparks, and welcome to a free training. And the new one today is on how to create your essential marketing collateral. So that's what I also call this free training because I'm going to show you some examples of different essential marketing collateral and what I mean by that term in the first place and why it's so important. I will show you a couple demos of some tools I use and how I organize mine with my team, and also help you decide whether you should do it yourself or outsource. And also, I'll give you a little course reveal. The title is Create Your Essential Marketing Collateral. I'm going to do some demos, share some tips, and reveal the course. There's a lot of information on the sales page about the course, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on that. So here's the agenda for today's live stream. I'm going to go through some different types of marketing collateral and what I mean by that in the first place, ways to organize them for easy access, both for you and your team. A couple of examples. One is on how to create a digital email signature in Wise Stamp, which is what I use for mine. How to create some brand templates in Canva. I found that incredibly useful. And that there are some extra features in the pro version of Canva that I found really worth it, really worth getting. Then that should you DIY or outsource. So what exactly do we mean by collateral? It's or a marketing asset. So these are things that are both print and digital. They're the core materials that you use whenever you're marketing. And aside from your logo, there are things like business cards, letterhead, brochures, stuff like that. Digital things like the email signature that I'll show you, templates like the ones you would use for social media or sales pages, and even website elements that you could have ready to go, like banners or call to action buttons. These are all things that you can have set up and designed in advance, have your core toolkit that you can then customize each time. It really speeds up everything that you do in your marketing so that you don't get an opportunity and then suddenly you have to spend a lot of time setting something up. If you've done it once, you can quickly jump on an opportunity, deploy a campaign, saving a ton of time all the way along. Just spend the time up front. So let me show you an example of what I mean. First by print. So here's a site that I've used in the past for my business cards, and I don't have a lot of print materials, but they're great for that. And it's called moo.com. Moo like the cow. I don't know how they came up with that. And you can see that they do all sorts of different materials. So postcards, flyers, stickers, labels, invitation. These are all things that if you need print materials in your business, letterhead, like for invoices, you want to send greeting cards to top clients each year, you can get them all created here really easily. If you have your logo, for instance, or some sort of design, maybe you've outsourced it, you can get these created really easily. So that's what I mean by a print or physical marketing asset. And then in terms of digital examples, I'll show you this email example, but there are things like brand templates in Canva or any other program that you like. So you can go in and have things like presentations. They have templates right here where you can pick different formats. So presentations, social media, worksheets, things that you would use over and over again in your marketing or in your business. And let me just head back. So that's the basics. All right. What I mean by collateral. If you've heard it before as just materials, so we call them marketing materials, marketing assets, marketing collateral. We just use the word collateral in the title of our new course because that was the most common term. So let us move on. So why create a tool? Number one, brand and message consistency. If you're creating new marketing materials each time from scratch, your brand message might turn up a little bit differently each time because you're rethinking it each time. But if you create the basics in advance, you'll always have that ready to go. You may still want to tweak it over time because things do change, but this way you are, as I mentioned before, you're ready to jump on opportunities because you have those core materials set up in a toolkit. And that saves you a lot of time later and saves you money later as well, money now and later, because say you have to quickly outsource it, that's going to cost you. If you already have it created and you can just edit it yourself, saves you time and money, gives your team the ability to create things without your input. And if you have them really well organized, that's going to help everyone access it, including you. And the way to keep things organized, what to keep in mind is you do want to ensure easy access for you and your team. And I'll share the tools that I use for that. I'd love to know what you use as well. So drop that into the comments and I will look out for that, but I'll share mine as well. You also want to create a process for keeping things updated. So it may be that a simple process, like every time you make a change to a sales page template or a social media template, to make sure that you save that as a new version or overwrite your old one. For instance, we often make some changes to our sales page layout based on feedback or new ideas. And then we save that as a new template and make sure we indicate that in the name so that we use that the next time. Or in something like Canva, where there are brand templates, we make a change and then we go and either save it as a new version or we can go in and edit the original template. But you want to make sure that you keep things organized, have a process, especially if you have other people helping you with that. And that way, people in your team don't need to ask you each time for something new. You have everything organized, you have the folders, location, everybody knows where to find stuff. They don't need to ask you, they can just run with it. When someone creates a social media post for me, like with launches, that person doesn't have to come back to me and say, okay, how should the design look in Canva? Where's the logo? How can I find that? Where's the e-covers or other things to share? They know exactly where to go. So that's important for having that organized. Now, in terms of the tools you can use, these are my favorite ones, the ones we and my team use. Dropbox is my favorite. I happen to have the paid version, business version, and that was mainly because as my team has gotten bigger, we need the space because we also keep products in Dropbox. Everyone needed a paid account and it ended up just being more economically logical. It just made more sense to have the business team version because it gave some other security features also. You do not need that. I had it for a very long time with just my individual one and upgraded to have more space as I went, as I needed it. So you can see a screenshot here, one example of where we organize some stuff in Dropbox. And actually, I can just show you that. So I have things like my graphics, and then I also pin things to the side, things I want to easily access. So things that are in progress. We have a folder for that. I always have that ready to click on so I don't have to go searching through my Dropbox, or everything for marketing or social media posts. So I might have some new things I want to make sure that my social media person has access to in order to upload. So I always put those there. But things like what you can see now, the graphics, I have all organized by logo and icon and e-cover templates and fonts. And actually, there's the original stuff that I got when I first got my logo created. I had someone do a business card for me. So she just did the design for me. And then I was able to take that PDF, go over to Moo and design my own business cards and get them printed on whatever kind of stock I wanted. So that was really useful to do. That's the way I use Dropbox. And then Google Drive, if you prefer using Google Drive for everything, you probably will end up needing a paid version of that as well. You can start out. It's very good for things where you need to collaborate. So I organize a lot of our documents where the whole team needs to be able to give some feedback in real time, and I'll put those into Google Drive. Or I'll put things in there that I want people to be able to copy really easily. So that's another thing just in folders. I'm not going to show you that. You may already be familiar with Google Drive, but that's another one to use. And I find that's best for when you have to have real time collaboration where you're constantly updating something. And then Canva is another one we use with a lot of the brand templates. And if I show you that, so I showed you that before. This is the brand templates, and we are able with a paid account. I'm not sure how much of this you can do with a free one, but with a paid one, you can organize all your brand templates into one folder. I actually have them. Here's the brand kit and brand templates are not showing up right now because I just was doing something with it. And I have a team account, so all my team members can see it. And then the brand templates and brand kit. So this is what, for instance, our brand template folder looks like. I could organize this in categories too, but I have things like a branded slide deck, live stream thumbnails. For this one, I just make a new one each time because I want to be able to go back and copy. So I have a ton of them from every live stream. This way, when I have to do a thumbnail for a live stream, I just hop in here, go to the brand template, edit, or make a copy of something. We've got things like planner workbooks, YouTube thumbnail templates in different sizes, social media graphics templates, and one where it's just graphics, one where there's images, so various things like that. Even a letterhead or page template. So that's really useful as well with Canva. And those are really my three favorite ones for organizing. So the next that I want to talk about is an example. So I said I would give you an example. So far, we've looked at some tips for organizing, why you need this, why you need to help your clients do this. So remember, we've got this course that we've just launched on creating your essential marketing collateral or marketing assets or materials. You can change the name to whatever you want. And that course goes through all of it and guides them through. So you can use the tools that you prefer when you're doing any sort of examples. One of those things, the email signature, that's just one piece in that course. You can see all of it on the sales page, but that one is something I use Wise Stamp for. And that's where you can use it for different email addresses. So you can create different signatures. Specifically, if you have different businesses or you want a business and a personal one, you can do that. You always want to have your key contact information, headshot, and a call to action. So let's hop over to Wise Stamp and I'll show you what I mean. So here's what my dashboard looks like in Wise Stamp. I have two signatures I set up. One is for my business for Content Sparks, Sharyn at contentsparks.com, and one is for my personal one that doesn't have as much information. But I could also create a new one. And when you have a new account, you can do this quite easily. You just create a signature. I'm going to do it as for myself. And you can make a title. So I'm going to say this is demo signature. And you create signature. And now you can put in the different information and they have different designs. So say I want to put in my name, I'll say founder, Content Sparks, fill in all this information, whatever it is you want to do. I'm not going to put in my phone number because I don't like to share that out. I get enough spam calls, so I would never get the information. Anyway, Sharyn at contentspark.com. And then I'm not going to put in the address. And then you can add other fields, but you can do that later as well. Then I'm going to upload an image. So I'm going to upload, which should be 100 by 100. So how about I upload a picture? Now I'm going to head over to my Dropbox at this point. I'm not going to show you everything. And I do have my headshots organized in a folder. So I'm going to pick one from my folder. See, I have them all organized. And let's try this one and see how it comes out. And it looks like it's good because I did a round version. So when you do headshots, you want to also have different versions of it. If you have them set up in advance, then you can do what I just did and just drop it in there. So it now has the basic signature, and I could leave it at that, but ideally you want to have some other contact information and a call to action. So I could add, for instance, my LinkedIn URL. It tells you the format that it wants. I believe it's linked.com/in/Sharyn Sheldon. And let's see if that did it. And there it is added to it. I'm not going to add any others right now, but I could also add my Facebook, or if you use Instagram a lot, you can add that. Then you can pick a template. So here's what makes it really easy to make something pretty. You can just click through and see what the different ones look like. Strip one. It takes a second for it to show it. Here's another one where the headshot's in the middle. Not crazy about that. I tend to go for the simplest one. There's one with the image on the right-hand side. Here's with it stacked. So lots of different options there. I said I tend to go for the simple one. So let's stick with that. And then I can go to design and do some other design elements. So here it's also helpful if you have all your colors saved somewhere. So I have color codes already saved in another folder, but for this, I'm not going to start looking at those, but you can pick something and then have your hex numbers in a file somewhere. I now use Notion, but you would also want it in the same folder as all your graphics. Just have one document with all your logo color codes, and then you can quickly grab them and put them in here. And then there's font scale and images and things like that you can play around with, decorative lines. I won't go through any of that. And then there are some apps as well. So there's a styled sign off like that. That's cool. Let's see what that looks like. That works. Okay, I'm going to add that. So that's added it to the top there. And then my information underneath, that just makes it a little more personal looking. And if I go back a second for font choices, I thought there were font choices, but I may just not be seeing it in here. So it's possible. I could have sworn they did have it, but I don't see it. I'd have to look into that some more. I haven't looked at the interface in a while. But now you can see there's various things that you can do to enhance Instagram gallery, video, image gallery, disclaimers, things that don't go crazy because otherwise it's going to take up a big spot. I like this little Instagram gallery. If you do a lot of Instagram or you have a business that's very visual, image gallery, maybe I could do something with different products, depends whether they're linked. I hadn't thought about that before, but you definitely want to have a call to action. So there's an online schedule app. That's one of the things you want people to do. You can do pre-designed banners, custom buttons. I think I have a custom button on mine, but you could put that in and then link it to something like a freebie. What's my main freebie? I think it's contentsparks.com. I should know this by heart. And then make it a shape that you like. And I would say join my 5-day online course challenge. Maybe my free, if you want to make it free like that. And make it a color that's going to stand out but not be really annoying. And that's about it. I'll leave it aligned like that. You can add an arrow and add that. And now I would leave the signature right like that. You can add things like, I think, latest blog post, join my newsletter. You could put something in there with a link to join your newsletter, join a webinar. So this could be something you could, if you have a new webinar, you could add this into your signature and then change your signature after that webinar period is over so that this signature, whenever you send an email or reply to someone, is going to show up and you'll get more opt-ins. So this is where your signature becomes a real high converting element of all your emails without you really having to do too much. That's why I love Stamp for that. All right. So that's everything. And then you would create a signature when you put in everything you want and say you would then refresh your Gmail. I'm not going to do this because I already have a one that I want to use. But once you refresh it, but when you go back over to Gmail and you create a new one, a new email, it'll show up as your signature. You can also do it for things like Outlook. Let's see what else it gave. So I use this one now and I use it for Gmail. But when you install, you click on install, you can pick Mac Mail, Outlook Desktop, Outlook Web, iPhone. I didn't know that. I can do a new one for that, Yahoo, and just an HTML that you can customize yourself. But that's everything on Ystamp. That's the one I like to use. Now let's move on to the other demo I want to show you, which is on brand templates in Canva. Now I mentioned if you have a paid version of Canva, they have a brand kit that you can set up and you can organize things in folders. That's something I really need to do more of. As you have more templates, that's going to be important. You can then create things for reuse. That's the whole point of a template. And if you have a team version, you can give team access. So I do have a team version of Canva. If you don't have a big team, that's not necessarily important for you, but it's been really helpful. So let's hop over to Canva now and I'll show you that. So I showed you that there's a brand template folder, but let me show you the brand kit first. So I created a brand kit. Again, I think this is only in the paid version where I was able to put all those logos. So at this point, rather than someone having to go over to drop and finding all these elements, they're right there in Canva for every time we do a design. So I have various versions of the logo. I have my colors. In this case, I have my basic colors, but I also added some variations of them in lighter tones so that when I create a design, I can flip through and do different combinations of those colors so that I'm not always just using the dark, bright ones for my logo. Here, I could also upload fonts for the different titles, headings, things like that. So, and you can manage those and add new ones. I put in my brand voice. This is a new thing that they have in Canva, which will work well as they add more AI elements. But all I did was take the brand voice that I generated in ChatGPT. So I took some of my own writing, blog post, email, stuff like that, gave it to ChatGPT and asked it to analyze it and give me a breakdown of my brand voice, my style and tone guide. So it did that in a nice, concise version. So that's useful also. Photos. So I put up the images that I use most. I really need to get some new ones. I don't have any standard graphics that we use, but that would be a good thing to add. And the icon. So all of those are there. So when I create a new design, they're right there to grab from the sidebar, which I'll show you. And then the other thing is the brand templates. So these we do not have currently organized in folders, but I can see right away. We name them so that you can tell, like a branded slide deck, YouTube thumbnail in different shapes, worksheets, live streams, stuff like that, social media ones. If I open up, let's see, I'm going to open up the YouTube one. So I'm just going to, if I were doing something new and I didn't want to make changes to the thumbnail, I just say use this template, it'll make a copy, or I can go in and edit the original. So I'm going to say use this template and I go swap out anything here. And if it says copy of, so that I know what it is, I'm going to say demo. So you rename it. You haven't lost any changes to your template at all. And I mentioned that thing with colors. So if I go into styles in my template, you see it's using my brand kit and I can apply those fonts. So it's changed it based on those fonts, or I can just undo it and use the ones that were there. I can switch through. This is something I love doing where it says primary with my colors. It will do a mix every time you rotate through. So it'll do a shuffle and you can pick one that looks a little different. This is a fun way to make some changes to your thumbnails and images. So look, it just keeps going through different combinations. And since it's a thumbnail, you might want it with something like a brighter background. And you can see I can find these all on the left-hand side. It tends to, whatever you've clicked on next, put up the top. So for instance, I can click on brand and it's going to give me all the elements of my brand. Logos is down below, but I can see all different options of my logos. So if I don't like this one, doesn't look right with the white, I can quickly add the dark one in there instead and rotate it a little if I wanted, which I think looks weird. So I won't. But that doesn't look great on that. So maybe I'd change that color to be something, I don't know, like a gray or something. I'm going to play with this too much now, but I just want to give you the idea and swap out my image and all those different fun things. And then I've got a new thumbnail. I would just change the wording to whatever it is, but I've got my brand right there. And the other thing I can do, say if you have something new, it made a lot of changes and you want to make this a new template, you can just go into share and then click on there are various options here. I can download if I want this as an image, and I can also click on brand template and then I can add it to a folder. So I'm going to put it in our Content Sparks templates folder and I would just add. So it would have whatever name and then it'll end up showing up in that brand templates folder that I had before that I showed you. And then you can start moving things around. So I hope that was helpful with the Canva templates. That's how we manage it. Would love to hear how you do it. Do you organize them differently? Use a different tool? I've just found this. I've been using it for years. I wouldn't use a lot of different tools. As I said, we use Dropbox, Canva. Those are the main ones. But if you have any other tools like a Google Doc or Word, we also have a Word templates for things like materials, and those we organize in Dropbox as well. So organizing your assets, try and stick with just a couple of tools so that you know where to find them easily. Name them so that you can find them easily, like social media templates, logos, stuff like that, headshots. And then make sure whatever tool you use, you give your team access if they need it. In some cases, like Dropbox, you can just share a link for somebody. You can just share that folder. So if you have, say, an outsourced person who needs to be able to access certain templates, like social media ones, they're not doing it in Canva necessarily. Oh, maybe it's a document template. Then you want to have those organized and share just that folder with whoever it is that needs access. Keep that access to a minimum. And then you can always revoke the access as well. Canva is really great for collaborating. You just have to make sure that whoever you're working with has access to it. So they don't have to be a team member. Before I had a team account, I would just share a template with someone that they could edit. So that was another option. I don't know if that'll show up now in my account, but I can show you. I can try and show you. So say I pick one of our designs and here I made a copy of something. Let's say it's something like this. I'm just going to pick one and I want to do just sharing it. I can add someone and give them access to edit it. So if there's something specific that you want them to be able to edit and make copies of, you can do that. So I would just click add and I put an email in for that person and then they can access it. So that's the way you would work with someone else if you don't have that team account where you have people who are always needing to. One note on that's really important. If someone else creates a design for you in Canva and then shares it with you and it's for your use, it will show up as that person being the creator of it. So if you're paying someone to create something in Canva and they give you the link, make sure you make a copy of it and use the copy so that it has your name as the creator. Otherwise, if something happens to that person, you suddenly don't have access or control over it any longer. And then if they need to keep making edits, make sure they do it on your version. It's just a little complicated for if you're not working with a team, but it doesn't make a big difference. I've done that. Once you get into that process, then it becomes easy to do. And I think we are almost there. I know what's next. So DIY or outsource. Here, let me move my image up to the top so that you can see everything. So this is a little matrix I put together for you that helps you decide whether to do these marketing assets yourself or pay to outsource them. And there are a number of different criteria that you want to think about. So in a matrix like this, you need to think about the skills needed. So does it need a high level of skill, low level of skill? And then you'll be thinking about whether you have those skills, the amount of time it takes to create those resources, whether it's you doing it or someone else. The opportunity cost is a really important criteria. So this is where you need to think about what opportunities you're going to miss out on, specifically revenue generating ones, if you were spending the time creating your marketing assets. So if you could be out there doing strategy sessions with a potential client versus creating your marketing assets, then it might make more sense for you to outsource it to someone, even if you have the skills. You might think you have the time, but say you swapped that time with doing more lead generation, then it could make more sense. So the opportunity cost, is it low? Is it medium? Is it high? How important is that asset? So something like your logo is really important. Do you want to do that with just some free tool? Or do you want to get someone else to create that logo for you? That's something that I outsourced. It was years ago, so I may need to refine it again, but it's something that is just done and you get it in different versions and you have it and it needs to be really high quality. And flexibility is part of that too. So how flexible does it need to be? In terms of something like a logo, it doesn't need to be that flexible. So it's the degree of flexibility. But something like social media template, you want to be highly flexible. So you could outsource a design that you could use over and over again, but you want to make sure that it's flexible. So that's a high, low is going to impact what you do when you look at this as a whole. And then budget available, that's also going to impact your decision. So if it's something where it's an extremely important asset, you have a really small budget, then you might want to just put your budget on that, something like your logo, and then do the other stuff yourself using some of these tools like moo.com that I showed you before. And I can put that, if you missed that, into the comments. All right. Oh, I didn't put the HTTPS, but it's moo.com, MOO. So that's a great one for the physical stuff. And then Canva has so many templates already that you could just use Canva. But if you have those core things like a professional headshot and your logo that you've outsourced, then you have the most important elements. So that's something where you can balance the budget. But if you do have a high budget and every little minute of your time can be spent elsewhere in better ways, like with revenue generating and lead generating, then you may want to outsource it all anyway. Things like the social media take up time no matter what. So there is an opportunity cost there. So definitely take a look at this matrix and use that. I put this into a Google Doc and it's DIY or outsource. So you can see that. So it's HTTPS and it's contentsparks.com/DIY or outsource. And what it looks like is, let me find that. This. So you can see that there's some instructions. This is a view only document. So you have to make a copy of it. It's personal use only, by the way. And there's a little matrix, so you can click that and then some instructions how to rate it, DIY or outsourcing, and some general guidance. Nice and simple. So last thing is the course. So I told you I would do a course reveal for you. I covered everything about those tips and examples for marketing collateral. Most of the information that I think you need is on the sales page. So I'll show you that in a second and how to navigate that. So this is the sales page that you're going to see. And that is here, contentsparks.com/marketing collateral. And you'll see that there's a little info, a little overview here that I recorded for you talking about the course. There's some other information. There's information, key things to learn in there. So I won't go through all of that. We talked a little bit about the importance of creating a toolkit like this. So this is the course roadmap itself and the things that you need to do, and you need to have your students, your customers, clients do. And you don't have to teach this as a course. You could do it one-on-one with someone. But these are the things they have to do, starting with nailing their message. Because remember, I talked earlier about how you have to have that consistent brand messaging image in all your materials. So at the very beginning, you have to nail their message, establish a style guide. So a brand voice and style guide is important to do. Yes, we have a whole big course called Brand Voice, but that's different. It goes into just brand voice. Here it's style guide. It's one element of creating all your materials. And then you go into the basics of logo, bio, and headshot, securing a headshot, creating print marketing essentials like business cards, letterhead, even presentation folders. So a presentation folder is something where you would say, if you're going into a client meeting and you have several things that you want to share with them, you got to have them neatly organized in a folder with your business card. People love having that physical material that then can sit on their desk. They can open up, review. Not everyone wants to see everything digital all the time. So that's another print thing. And then you can add on what would make most sense to your clients and your students if they need to have gift cards or invitations, things like that. Then you can add that in as an element in the course and send them to your favorite tool like a moo.com. Any tool you send them to, make sure you use your affiliate link also so that you can get, if there is an affiliate program, so you can get additional revenue that way. Then there's the digital marketing essentials, which I mentioned some of before, the email signature template, not just social media templates, but presentation templates. Some of the things I showed you, like in Canva, we have the slideshow template, but we also have one in PowerPoint. And because we use both of those, so those sorts of templates and website elements as well, things like banners, footers, call to action buttons. Those are the main things. If you're working with very new businesses and startups and they don't have a website, that's something that you're going to want to guide them to in the process of this course. So you're not going to go through, okay, here's how to set up a website in the marketing collateral course, but you could guide them through that with an add-on. So have a bonus course, because we have some stuff on that too. We have actually a planner on creating your new website content. So you can make that a bonus if that's an issue for your students. Remember, everything's customizable. So you can, if you need to expand on certain elements, either we have stuff you can expand on or you can add on yourself. Sometimes you do actually have to create a little bit yourself. And then planning your budget. So that's where you also have to think about DIY, outsourcing, and then, of course, organizing your toolkit. Some of those things that I just talked about in this presentation. And then just scroll down the page. I did a whole walkthrough here where I opened up a lot of the materials and showed you the inside of all those materials. And then you can read more about what's in each one of the modules here too. Then there's a list of the actual materials that you'll get. So you'll see there's all sorts of stuff here. Thank you for listening and let me know what you think of the new course. Take care, everybody.